about business, finance, economics, and market on the Small Business Show with Johannes Balogun.
Today on the show, we are joined by Itumeleng Molefe, a financial advisor. Itumeleng, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So Itumeleng, I think perhaps we can start by introducing yourself so that people can be familiar with you and the work that you do, because of the conversation that we'll be having today. I think it's an interesting one because it affects each and every one of us.
Yes. Okay, so I'm Itumeleng Molefe. Initially, I was a debt counselor, so I do have a certificate in debt counseling. But now I've moved more into financial advising because I really felt that dealing with people and their debts is a very sad environment. So how do I propel them to be more financially free? So then I was like, okay, financial advising is maybe the next step. So I've moved now into financial advising, and now I want to also move financial planning. So planning for your future, for your children, such as creating a trust for your children, also tax maximization, handling your debts, how to manage your debts, etc., etc. So I'm moving more into that, and I'm trying to also move all of my clients into a more financial free.
Oh, that's quite interesting. I think perhaps maybe we can start the conversation. Perhaps we can start the conversation with debt review, because a lot of people find themselves to have been defaulted in debts, and for some reason they are no longer eligible to get credit. And so a lot of people are not aware that there isn't actually a way to deal with their debts so that they can be able to be eligible to get credit. So when we talk about debt review, what are we talking about?
Okay, so what is debt review? Debt review is basically when we go, well, there's two ways. You can either voluntarily go on a debt review, or a credit provider can say, okay, well, this person really cannot afford the debt, they need to go on a debt review. But okay, if you go voluntarily under debt review, it basically means that you are unable to pay off your debts. Therefore, you need assistance, such as a reduction in your installments. So what happens is the debt counselor, they will look at all of your debts. So let's say you have 5 debts. You have FNB, you have African Bank, you have all of them, right? And then you say, okay, at the end of the month, I literally have negative in my bank account. So then you go to the debt counselor. The debt counselor will say, okay, currently you are owing in total 5,000 rand debt. Let's reduce that debt to, let's say, 2,000, or let's say rather 3,000 rand debt. So yeah, that is debt counseling. So it really assists people that are really struggling with handling their debts, and at the end of the month they really have no money in their pocket to even go to the movies or buy ice cream. So that it really helps people in that sense. But the downfall of that is that you cannot take out any debt thereafter, because now you are classified as almost as if you are a child. You are unable to handle finances. So any credit provider that comes in, or you go to a credit provider, you apply for a loan, they cannot give you a debt.
And so, what kind of how bad will the situation be when you are at a point whereby you are classified as not being eligible? Like, will you be having a lot of debts or not being able to pay what is required?
So, okay, yeah. In essence, it's basically you are unable to buy yourself an ice cream at the end of the month. But most of the time, people they don't know exactly what they're getting into. So then they just sign the papers and then they get it to debt. That time, they only have, let's say, 3 accounts that they are able to pay. It's just that to them, they think that they're struggling. So I think for the debt counselors, it's very important for them to explain in full what debt counseling is, because you really, even if you are able to pay off your debts, you really can't even take out another loan. So it's important for people to understand that. So if you feel like, okay, at the end of the month, I really cannot even buy myself an ice cream, then go under debt. But if you feel like, okay, I'm just struggling, but I can't afford my debts, don't go under.
And so how do you then, as a financial advisor, step in and help that particular person?
Okay, so then we need to talk about debt management. So how can you manage your debt effectively? So I like to tell my clients, if you feel like, yes, I'm struggling with my debt, I'm a bit overwhelmed, let's first look at, okay, what accounts are you paying? Are you paying a home loan? Are you paying a vehicle? And are you paying clothing account? Or are you paying a credit card? So now then we look at which of those accounts has the highest interest rate. So in most cases, clothing store accounts and 1 month loan accounts have the highest credit score. So then I'll first say, okay, let's first try to settle these accounts, and then we can focus on the other accounts, because people don't realize that when you're paying off your debts, the interest rate is built on the outstanding amount. So the more that debt is outstanding, the more you're going to pay in the debt. So that's how I try to really help people. And then also we need to look at what are you spending your money on, because then you'll find that people are going out every month, but you can't afford your loans. But yeah, it's really a journey of understanding the client.
Okay, now I understand. And so, as a financial advisor and your journey in terms of helping people, so I want to understand, because you are helping people to manage their debts, right? And so this is a person, they just got employed and they are now having a beautiful job. Now they are earning a good salary. Now in 1, 2, 3 years down the line, the person is now defaulting in debts. The person is now unable to pay their debts, all sorts of problems. And so what I'm trying to understand now is that, do we have the lack of income, or is the income too little, or is the problem not being able to manage the debts in terms of paying?
Yeah, I think, but for me, I like to look at it from a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Because you realize some clients, they'll be earning 30K, right? But they also paying for black tax. They're spending the money on things that are out of their control. So they're not spending the money effectively. They're buying expensive cars, whereas we could have just bought a Hyundai. Things like that. So for me, I don't like to say people are ruthless or anything with their money. It's just that I think it's a case-by-case basis. You really need to look at the client and try to explain to them what the possibilities are in the future. Like, you could die. What's going to happen then? What's going to happen to your house when you die?
So basically, this is a scenario whereby you just look into the life of a client, of where they come from, the family background, because mostly people are coming from disadvantaged background, whereby now when the person get a job, they now have to go back and help family, and now that's when people mostly find themselves in a situation whereby they are unable to pay some of the debts.
Sometimes, for example, with me, I have grandmother that doesn't work, right? So who's going to pay for a funeral? It's going to be me, of course. So now, let's say, for example, I'm not earning 20K. Let's say I'm earning 10K. And she died. I'm going to have to take out a loan to pay for her funeral. So that's why I don't say people are reckless with their debts. Things happen in your life that you have to take out a loan for.
Yeah, now you've put it much clearer. And so I want us to jump into talking about prescription debt. I heard you a lot on TikTok talking about prescription debt, and I find people so excited about it, because it seems like it's something that a lot of us didn't know about from back then. So you come as a financial advisor and you say there is what we call prescription debt that I, as a financial advisor, can help you with. After you, I think maybe I would allow you to talk more into that.
So prescription debt is basically expired dates or old dates that can be written off, but only after 3 years of not payment. So the main headline of it is that you must not have paid the debt in the past 3 years. So if you've not paid the debt in the past 3 years, and you can prove it on your credit report that it says that the last payment date was 3 years ago, then we can have that debt written off, and you don't have to pay that debt anymore.
So prescription debt, basically what you're saying is that it's a debt that you haven't been paying for the last 3 years, and you haven't...
Okay, but they are conditions though.
Okay, what are the conditions?
So the first condition is non-payment. You haven't paid it in the past 3 years. Number 2, you haven't acknowledged the debt in the past 3 years. That's kind of the important condition, because people overlook it, because a credit provider will call you today and they say, "Hi, is this Itumeleng? How are you doing? Da, 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 da. Remember you have a loan with us. Remember you owe us 10,000 rand. When do you think you're going to pay that debt?" And then people say, "Yes, I remember that debt. I'll pay it on Tuesday." That's where you go wrong. If you haven't paid that debt in the past 3 years, do not acknowledge at that point. Because if you acknowledge that debt, you cannot claim prescription.
Now it seems like you have acknowledged that you will continue paying it, and now they're bringing you back to the book.
Yes, and they are allowed to do that because the prescription law basically was instituted because the credit providers were not calling the clients, they were not trying to collect the debt. So that's one of the conditions that now have to be.
Okay.
So the third condition is you must not have received a summons in the past 3 years. So a summons is basically a letter that the sheriff drops off at your house. They say, "Okay, please sign here," and in the letter it says, "Dear Itumeleng, you still owe ABC this much money." So once you receive that letter, it's over.
So you can't claim it.
Yes. But that's not the end all of the all. If you have acknowledged the debt or you have received a summons, you can still wait another 3 years from that date, and then you can claim, and then the prescription date process then starts. But then you wait another 3 years.
Okay. And so what kind of debt is classified as prescription? Is vehicle finance, retail, and so forth? What kind of debt will that be?
Okay, so personal loans, short-term loans, medical bills, credit cards, vehicle financing. So after the car has been repossessed, you still have that outstanding amount. So that amount you can claim prescription. But the ones that you cannot claim prescription on is home loans, student loans, and any loan that is owed to the government. Those ones do not apply.
Okay. Here's something that I want to understand, Itumeleng. You say that personal loans can be classified, can be prescribed, right? And I don't know, this is just a normal guy, normal journalist who doesn't know anything about finance and all that. But with my common sense, I understand that if I go to the bank and claim some and take up on a loan and be unable to pay for it, doesn't the bank get to in some sort of like a process of repossessing some of my assets that can be used to pay up the loan? What is going on around there?
So that's why you need to, once the data is prescribed, you need to immediately claim prescription, because that is also possible, but that is only possible if you receive the summons. So the process then would be, if you don't pay rights for the past 3 years, then maybe you receive the summons, and then after the summons, it goes to a judgment, and then if you don't pay the judgment, then they can come to your house and take your furniture or whatever.
Okay, now I understand.
But it's a long process though, so it's very much it's not likely that will happen.
Okay, and so let's jump to credit score. A lot of us we hear this thing of credit score. Go and check your credit score. where is it, whether it's healthy or whether it's poor, and that's where you can be able to see whether you are eligible to get credit and up to how much. So what is going on around the issue of credit score?
Okay, so credit score, people people get so obsessed with the credit score. People think that, okay, because I have a bad credit score, I can't get them. So yes, credit score does come into play. It's just that if your credit score is less than 550, then I wouldn't worry. But if your credit score is more than 550, then you can definitely get a loan. The point that people don't get is that the credit provider needs to do an affordability assessment by law. By law, they have to do an affordability assessment. And if they see that you can't afford the loan, then they cannot give you the debt. Because if they give you the debt and you can't afford the loan, then they can charge with reckless spending and the whole reputation is blown up. But what was your question? How do you check your credit score?
Yeah, how do you check your credit score, and how do you interpret the numbers there?
So you can check your credit score on your credit report. You can check your credit report on Experian. It's free on Experian, on TransUnion, on XDS, on VeryCredit. It's all free there. So, but the numbers is only important if you are trying to buy a house or you are trying to purchase or get some vehicle financing, because then that's when the credit score is considered. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not a train smash.
Oh, so it's not that much of a problem?
And the problem is people go to the credit provider and they apply for a loan. And then the credit provider says, no, I'm blacklisted. Or I don't even know what they say. But people come to me and they say, oh, I'm blacklisted. But there's no such thing as blacklisted. There's really no such thing as black. It's just that the credit provider does not want to.
Also, they just use the term blacklisting.
Sorry?
I mean, the credit provider, maybe, for example, you go to the bank and they say you are blacklisted. So they're just using the word blacklisting just to say to you, you can't get a loan. But again, you come and say there is no such thing as blacklisting.
The thing is, I'm not sure, because I don't think the credit provider is saying blacklist. I think people are assuming that they're blacklisted. So, because there's really no such thing as blacklist.
That's why a lot of us are surprised to hear about that.
Yeah, there's really no such thing. But I think also people are getting confused maybe with debt review and blacklist. If you are under debt review, you can't take out. Also, if you have a judgment on your name, the credit provider won't give you. So people, that's why I always try to preach all your credit report first before you go and try to apply for it. First, look at what is going on credit report, and then if you see, oh, you have a judgment, or you under debt review, you must know your application won't go through.
Okay. So let's talk about income protection. Income protection, even for myself, I didn't know about the term income protection. I don't know what it is. I didn't even know that it does exist, and I didn't know how is it helpful to people. So what is income protection?
Okay, so let me build this for you. So I actually posted this on my TikTok. There's this lady, she's an influencer. She does the hair tutorial, etc.
Yeah.
And let's say, for example, she's earning 50,000 rand. She has a home that she just purchased. She's got a loan on that. She just bought a Mercedes Benz. She has one child. That child is still going to school. I think maybe he's in grade 1 or something like that. And also she's also helping her family, right? With all that money, all that 50,000 rand she's using for all of those things. So let's say today she's driving, she's on her way to a event in Camps Bay. She then, I don't know, swerves or something happens with her car. She gets into a car crash, and then her whole face is like distorted, right? Now, I mean, as an influencer, you can't doing tutorials, you can't do anything because your face is what you used to work. So in that instance, now she has lost her income, or her means of creating an income. So that's where income protection comes into play, because, okay, let's say if you are working in a normal work environment in corporate, yes, they'll give you they give you like 1 month pay or something like that. They give you 1 month pay or whatever. But now she's working for herself. She doesn't have that 1 month pay. So now who's gonna pay for a home loan? Who's gonna pay for a child's school fees? Who's gonna give a mom 3,000 rand so that she can go to groceries? Things like that. That's where the income protection comes in. Income protection then says, okay, we see that, okay, you are not earning the income at this point in time because let's say you are disabled, you're off, or whatever. Like there's no way to earn an income. So then they pay your income for every month for like, I think 12 months or 24 months. And then after that, if they can see that, okay, you really cannot continue, like this injury is a permanent injury, then they will also continue to pay you as if you are earning the income.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so it's basically protecting you in an instant of an accident or illness or whatever. So for you can't work.
And so where do people go in terms of looking or finding for, more about this income protection?
Oh, they can come to me and then I can explain to them.
Okay, so they can reach out to you.
I can't exactly say the company's name now on social media.
Okay, Itumeleng, it's been a lovely to have this conversation with you. And so in conclusion, how can people get in touch with you?
The best way is through email. My email address is molefeir@gmail.com, or you can just go to my TikTok. That's where I post all of my short form videos. Then you can even just watch through all of the videos if you don't want to, maybe.
Okay, I think I'll just have to put up all your links and your email on the description of this episode.